Hey everyone, this is Fan from Phantom Reaper, back at it again with my second time recording this, cause with the first one, I just kept drawing so many blanks. Anyways, this is part 2 of What If Kamen Rider Buffa was Deku. No, Deku was Kamen Rider Buffa. So, last time we left off, Izuku found an ID core which gave him back his memories of when he was Michi, and also his mother died because of the sludge villain attack and Bakugo's reckless explosions. And also Midoriya now wants to crush all heroes. But he's being a bit more smarter about this. So yeah. Anyways, before we begin, some ground rules for the series. Izuku will be a vigilante, but there may be a point in time where I'll have to change him into a hero. And the Desire Grand Prix exists, but it's now in the form of a system, where you can exchange points you gain from stopping crimes, helping citizens, yada yada yada, and gain very powerful buckles in return. The more powerful the buckle, the more expensive it is. And when he reaches 1,000,000 points, he will have his wish granted. And for Izuku, that is to crush all heroes. Yeah. So, just before I begin, I was struggling a lot to come up with ideas. So I wrote down a little bit of a timeline that I won't put up on screen to save you guys from spoilers. But anyways, let's begin. So last we left off, Izuku had just woken up and heard the news about him being the Purple Buffalo. About the news about people calling him the Purple Buffalo, because they don't know his real identity. And so we'll just skip all the work stuff and actually, no, wait. We're gonna stop by briefly with the work thing. While Izuku is working, his coworkers praise him for his hard work and how experienced he seems to be despite being such a young age. And Izuku, aka Michi, I'll swap between them from time to time, is actually really proud. Like, he's quite happy with that. Like, he enjoys it. And one of his coworkers offers, "Hey, since we're finished, you want to grab something to eat?" And Michi decides, "Yeah, sure, I have time." So they all go out to a hot pot shop, and they order a hot pot, and they enjoy a nice meal together. Michi especially, because back then, when in his old life, he didn't really get along with people after his friend died. So he's enjoying this. And so this routine will continue where he would do construction work and also trade it when he could, while also doing vigilante work, stopping petty crime, and stuff like that. Until one day when while he's observing a bunch of gang members, he hears one of them talk about something. "Hey, you guys hear about that new drug that's been going around?" "What?" "You know, the one that can make things disappear." "Dude, none of us understand what you're saying. Besides, it's only us. I'm talking about the drug that can disable a quirk." "Oh wait, yeah, that's kind of old news now." "What?" "Yeah, I'm just kidding with ya. Yeah, I haven't really heard much about it. Yeah, I hear that it's being supplied by a Yakuza group." "Oh, really? Which one?" "That's the thing. No one knows." And just before Izuku could get more information, because he figured, maybe I can use this, the hero Kamui Woods appears. "You are all under arrest, villains." And the villains go, "We ain't done nothing!" And then Kamui just points, "Oh yeah, then what's that bag?" "Damn it, I thought you'd hide that thing. Oh, don't look at me. No one ever comes into this alley." Alright, okay, as much as I would like to enjoy your thing you're doing here, unfortunately, I will have to arrest you. I'm sorry. That just was fine. But the villains don't go down easily. One of them a has a ball quirk where he can summon ball-like objects to and control them at high speeds and power. The other guy, however, unfortunately for Kamui Woods, has a fire guns. By that I mean he could shoot fire bullets out of his fingers. And Kamui is struggling because he can't really get near the fire. And he's like, "Ah, damn it, come on, pick up the phone!" Like he's trying to communicate with any nearby heroes, but there is a third villain whose whole quirk is signal jamming. But he's hiding nearby. Well, if we catch this guy, maybe we can turn him in. Yeah, I just have to sit back and... Why do I feel like someone's behind me? Unfortunately for the villain, Buffa's behind him. And he just proceeds to just smack the guy so hard on the head it kind of sends a shockwave. Now, both the villains and Conway turn, and there they see Buffa holding up the villain and saying, "I found the source of your signal problem." The villain's like, what is that thing? Conway's like, thank you, wait. Oh, thank you. Wait a minute! Just before Conway could finish his sentence, he remembers he has to deal with the villains. So he decides to... So he quickly does his best to apprehend the villains, while Buffa decides to assist him in dealing with the one with the fire guns. The guy's acting all cocky, thinking, "Hey, you think you can beat me? I got my firearms right here." But in that moment, he got kicked in the nuts. That was a bit too much, Kamui would say, but Izuku's like, he kind of deserved it. Kamui goes, "Wait, aren't you the purple buffalo?" And he goes, "Oh yeah, I hate that name. What would you like to be called?" You'll know soon enough. Unfortunately, due to your vigilantism, I would have to take you in, but seeing as you have helped me, I'm sorry, this is quite hard for me to do. Could you just go? And Buffa's like, you're not bad. And Kai's like, And Buffa then says, you're not one of those bad heroes, I mean. Thank you. I try. And Kami decides to let Izuku go because of the fact he helped him. Now, I was thinking of having Kamui fight against Buffa, but I figured he wouldn't be that much of a stick-up to do that. So yeah. Anyways, Izuku still continues life, and it's now a month before the entrance exam. Izuku is on the construction site on break when he hears his coworkers talking about something. "Hey, you hear about the underground fighting ring that's going on?" "Yeah, that's just a myth. That doesn't even exist." "I've heard about it. It seems like it's been quite brutal. It's like, I believe there's a lot of gangs in it for some reason." "Why would they be interested in it?" "I'm not sure." This catches Izuku's attention, and he then goes over and goes, "Hey, what are you guys talking about?" And he goes, "Oh, we're talking about some underground fighting ring that's been going on." "Not so underground if it's being talked out loud." "Yeah, you see, I had a brother who participated in those. He ended up getting seriously injured, so I had to do multiple jobs just to well, make sure he can recover. And this just catches Izuku's attention. He goes, why are you helping him, then? He got himself into that mess. Yeah, I know, but he's the only family I ever got. This kind of... This comment, right there, reminds Michi of when he killed Sarah, Saki, Keiwa's sister. It kind of just irks him. He goes, "Eh, sorry to hear that." And he then continues on his day, making a mental note to find out more about this fight club. And so a week would go by, and he would, on his patrols, he would be asking questions about, do you know this or that, to villains. Most of them wouldn't budge, because they may be a rat, but ain't no snitch. Yeah. Until he gets a lucky break. One of them happened to be an idiot and write down, literally, word for word, super secret fight club at Tiki Taco Town. It doesn't really say that. It's just a lot of buzzwords there in the hopes of distracting whoever it was reading this. So yeah. Buffa then decides, you know what? I'm gonna find this fight club. I'm gonna shut it down. Because if these heroes aren't gonna do anything about it, might as well do. I don't want to have a repeat of KY, he tells himself. So the next time he's on patrol, he makes his way to the location. Pretty standard warehouse looking type thing. He enters it, and there's nothing in there. He goes, this must be a secret passage. He then looks around and notices a container open. Slightly opened, so he peeks in and notices stairs. He walks down and then realizes he's in the fight club, but no one has recognized this yet. And there's a lot of gangs there. And there's currently a fight going on between some guy with a... I don't know, like, I'm having... With a laser eye quirk, yeah. Let's give him laser eyes, because I'm funny, like... Funny. And in that fight, there's a gigantic boar-like fighter. And the fight's going on. Buffa decides to observe it, taking some mental notes to make sure he can get away with in case things go wrong. And the crowd is just like roaring, cheering, like, "Go, Brad Boar! Kick his ass! I want you to punch me!" Dude, what the fuck is wrong with you? Yeah, stuff like that. And the announcer's just going, "Go, go, 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 fight, beat him up! Give him the 1-2! Give him a cider! Give him a double with cheese!" If anyone gets that reference, you're awesome. And then the laser guy goes, "Too bad. Time for my laser eyes." Like, he's exaggerated it. He thinks this is a game. And he proceeds to shoot lasers out of his eyes. But then the boar-like man suddenly coats himself in bronze. And then charges at him and knocking him into the cage. And the guy goes, "Ah! Oh, God." Michi observing this thinks he done that to himself. But then the board guy does something that sets Buffa off. He proceeds to go to the man's pocket, take what looks like a pocket watch off him, and goes, "Is it mine now?" Laser guy goes, "Wait, we didn't agree to that." Oh, my ribs. Ugh. And that moment gives Michi a flashback to when his friend got his buckle stolen by some other riders. And without thinking, Michi jumps from the balcony and then just lands into the cage, fully intent on making that boar into a pile of katsudon. All the spectators, including the bronze boar, who we will now refer to him as that, were shocked. They were like, "Where did this ink come from? Ooh, a new act! What the fuck?" And the bronze boar is not happy having someone just show up after his victory. "Ugh, what you think you're doing, you I lost track. No matter. I'm gonna enjoy this." As soon as the boar finished his sentence, he began charging at Buffa. Thankfully, however, Buffa was able to dodge since he has had much tougher fights. The only problem is, however, he can't get past the armor. He can punch real hard, but seeing as there's not much weapons around that can help him, he needs to think of a plan. He thinks about using the buckle, but decides to see if he can hold off and plan. Yeah, no, he ain't doing that. He decides what best to try it out now. So he pulls out the drill buckle and then goes, "Henshin!" and drill on. Alright, note to my other self, put the sound effect in there. Anyways, soon he gets the drill weapon and attached to him, and the bronze boar is like, "What kind of quirk is that? This is when Buffa thinks, there must be a lot of drugs in the system if he to that's the only way I can explain he's crazy." And while he's thinking, when he had that brief thought, he then remembered the guy who got his ribs kicked in. He quickly makes his way over and picks him up, and is taking him out of the cage to make sure he's safe. But that bronze boar ain't letting it happen, so he does another charge. Michi, to his shock, pushes the man out of the way and takes the full brunt, causing him to crash through the cage and into a wall. "Oh, a surprise guest! Just got a rude awakening!" And Buffa would make sure he bet up that announcer. But he had a bit of a bigger problem. Some of the spectators thought, "Hey, let's be smart, let's be civilized, and fucking jump that man." So now he currently has to deal with fighting multiple groups with a weapon that isn't really good for fighting. If you've seen Driller, it's more for drilling. But who am I kidding? If Gundam, I think, the Gundam had a giant drill, yeah, they can pull it off. Yeah. So Michi, using Driller, does his best to fight him off, with the injury causing him to kind of stiffen from time to time, letting them get some cheap shots in there. And the bronze boar is just standing back. Just kidding, he's rushing in. Like he's going crazy. Like acting like an actual animal. And then he tries to attack Michi again. And Buffa again, but he manages to dodge this time. And causes friendly fire to happen. By that I mean, he bashed into a bunch of spectators. "Hey, don't the merchandise! I mean the customers! Oh god, just don't hurt them!" Michi looks to the direction of the voice and basically sees what he can assume is the boar's manager. And before Michi could return his attention to the boar has grabbed his leg and then just does that slam thing the Hulk does, you know, like bah, 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 bah. Now I might be overestimating Michi's endurance, but he has taken a lot more worse punishments than this. But this is when Michi decides to use the drill in such a way that would make anyone and recoil. Y'all know where I'm going with this. He jabs the drill into the boar's balls. He's squinting, and then Michi, he then takes the drill out, prepares the drill, and starts drilling into the board, doing massive damage. And while that's going on, with one of his hands, using his free hand, he grabs the pocket watch back, and before he can finish off the boar, because he was fully intent on killing him, he hears police sirens in the distance, and decides, yep, that's my cue. And before he goes, he quickly drops the watch back at the guy. The guy. He's a cool guy with laser eyes. Pew, pew, pew! And he quickly makes his escape. While he thinks he has remained unseen, little does he know, there was a certain bird in the sky. Although he didn't quite get a good look, the bird noticed him. Huh. Wonder what he was doing there. Okay, we now go to the next day where Michi's just finished making a call, letting his boss know he won't be available for at least a week. Thankfully, however, for him, there isn't any construction going on that week due to weather and stuff. Yeah. So that gives him time to heal his injuries, and more time for Michi to think. There was an underground ring, and it was able to escape the notice of the heroes and the police for just long enough for him to show up and do most of the hard work. Although Michi doesn't want to admit it, he's quickly fallen back on his old habits of wanting to crush all heroes indiscriminately. Now this might be a bit of a character assassination, I do apologize. I figured that this can help me because I am not doing so good so far. So he looks over a list of all the heroes he's written on a big whiteboard. With All Might, he knows he probably cannot take him on. In fact, no, taking him on is out of the question. He doesn't know about his buff form and stuff like that because he never grabbed onto his leg. Endeavor is a fire guy, and while he's strong and bulky, Michi, if he plans well, which as shown before, he tends to not think things true, as seen with the bronze boar, he could take him out. Then there's Miracle, who's an absolute beast, and for some reason, Michi just gets a flashback of Bushin Sword Tycoon. So he's like, nope, no, I am not. That was the most painful thing I have experienced. And he continues to look over his list of every hero he was able to count for, with Aizawa also being in there. Although noticeably, Kamui Woods is also there, despite the fact but he's listed under less important. Somewhere else, a wooden ninja sneezed. Achoo! I wonder who's thinking about me. Anyways, now for something interesting. We cut to Bakugo's perspective, because... Oh wait, no, it's been a month. The UA entrance exam hasn't happened, but still, we're cutting to his perspective. He's noticed that Izuku hasn't been showing up as of late for classes. He's like, what's that damn nerd think he's doing? And he just then goes, must have decided to drop out. Good, now that stupid nerd's out of my way. We did now cut to the police station where Detective Lie Detector Tumblr Man, I'm calling him that from now on, is in a meeting with the dog officer. Kamui Woods, Aizawa, and Hawks, asking them to give their recounts of the Purple Buffalo. Aizawa goes, I was attempting to stop a drug deal from happening. The dealer who I was fighting with was giving me a lot of trouble. But then the Purple Buffalo showed up and assisted me. I tried to arrest him, but he is a lot stronger than he looks. And even when I was trying to erase his quirk, nothing happened. I did lose track of him, however. In Kamui Woods, this goes, I was stopping a bunch of villains who had just robbed a bank. One of them had a fire-related quirk, and the Purple Buffalo came to assist me. I'm sorry to admit, but after he helped me, I couldn't bring myself to bring him in. And Lie Detector Man goes, well, that's kind of understandable, but next time, could you... That guy goes, I don't really like it, but I trust you youngins or whatever. And the Hawk goes, oh, I saw him leave the area where the firing happened, but did he always have a drill? Just checking. Bo Kamui and Aizawa went, no, he never had a drill. And he goes, huh. Well, I saw him leave and he had some drill attached to his arm. And Lie Detector Man goes, do you think that could be his quirk? Hawks goes, most likely, but it could be some type of gear, but where would you get gear like that? Oh yeah, did you guys happen to get anything from the people you arrested that day? Lie Detector Man goes, unfortunately they weren't willing to speak. They all just kept acting crazy. We still have to question a lot more of them, but maybe we can find more about the Purple Buffalo. Conway decides to chip in. Before I forget, he did tell me we would soon find out about his name. It was quite ominous. Everyone in the room kind of stays silent for a bit before Aizawa goes, well, I must get going. I have classes to prepare for. Lie Detector Man goes, alright, yeah, the UA entrance exams are going to be happening soon. I hope this year's students will be great. Aizawa goes, I know. I'll be the judge of that. And leaves. Now we cut to a few days before the inevitable USJ incident, where Universal Studios Japan was forced to close down after it was discovered they were stealing all the Kamen Rider yeah, there's a bit of comedy there, sorry. No, the USJ attack where the villains attacked the place and all that. Michi is on lunch break, eating his lunch, when the system, notifies him of an attack that will happen. And he goes, this could be interesting. So he decides to read through it. And he gets the gist of it. There will be a group of villains attacking the USJ, which is in UA. And he has a goal to stop the villains from causing severe damage. And if he can complete one of his goals, he will be rewarded with a buckle. And he goes, I wonder if I can decline. Because he just wants to know beforehand, just in case he ever wants to decline a mission. And he sees accept and decline, so he that just solves his problem. He decides to accept, and the system notifies him between these specific times he will be teleported to the USJ, and after he has completed it, he will be teleported out. And he goes, I'm off that day, so that's good. And so he finishes his lunch and gets back to work. And just before he leaves, one of his coworkers go, "Hey man, we're going out for some lunch. You want some? You want to come with us?" Michi goes, "I mean, I already ate my lunch, but sure." And they go out to enjoy some nice roast beef or whatever meat stands there are in Japan. Now let us cut over to the POV of a UA student known as Humanoid Chihuahua, aka Katsuki Bakugo. It's been around a month since he's been here at UA, and he hasn't seen Izuku anywhere. He goes, "Guess that quirkless loser decided not to show up. That means no competition for me. I'll be #1 by the time I get out of here." And he's thinking that on the bus, but then Suyu goes, "Bakugo may be strong, but but with that attitude, he won't be a good popular ribbit." You know all that. And so they get to the USJ, where they meet the hero 13, where Bakugo just couldn't care less about what she's saying. Then, all of a sudden, Kirishima notices something happen. "Yo! Is that part of the test too?" Aizawa looks and goes, "That's not part of the test. 13! Protect the students!" Okay. So, the events play as usual, but now let's cut back to Michi. He's sitting in the apartment, doing a bit of cleaning, while in his Kamen Rider form. He hasn't been able to he doesn't want to buy any new buckles as of late, because the other ones he can afford don't really fit him per se. And one of the cheapest ones is the water one, which we all know how that goes. So unless he thinks I'm fighting Endeavor, I'm not gonna need that. And soon the time comes for when he gets teleported. And he gets teleported in, let's say, the mountainous area. Oh, no. Let's say he gets teleported onto the boat. Suyu and Mineta, they can, "Oh my god, we're gonna die!" And Suyu's trying to think of a plan when all of a sudden, a man just appears. Now both of them are shocked because they did not know how he got there. Even the villain's like, "Where did that guy come from?" And Buffa takes a good look at the situation and asks the two students he sees, "Excuse me, do you mind giving me a brief rundown on the situation here?" Mineta goes, "Why would we share that with you?" I'll translate. He says, "Why would we work with you? You're a villain." Buffa goes, "If I was a villain, you two would be dead. But right now, I'm stuck in a boat with a tiny man with a metal diaper and what looks like a frog person. So unless any of you have any ideas to get out of this, I'd like to know what's going on." And that kind of calms them both down. And Suyu goes, "We're in the USJ. You probably know that already. But there was a villain that attacked us and there was one with portals and they brought us all here." And he goes, "Okay then." And the villains just start attacking the boat. And when one of the villains' attack barely hits Mineta, giving him a slight scratch, but then the system pops up, which shows a bar. And it goes, "If this bar reaches 0, you fail your mission. And he goes, okay, so the students are the ones I need to protect. And he goes, alright, I have a plan. But I'll need to know what you guys can do. So he goes, my quirk is frog. I'm can do frog stuff. My quirk makes very sticky balls. And, well, I have an idea. Alright, listen up. The moment I'm gonna jump into the water and use this to create a vortex. You're gonna throw those balls. You're gonna throw all those balls into the water, causing them to stick and get stuck. While you make a jump all the way out of here. Understood? And Suyu goes, yeah, okay. And then he goes, wait, what even is your quirk? And Buffa looks at him with murderous intent, saying, is that really more important than your life? And he goes, no, sir. Good. And this plan is very similar to what they do in the original, but minus the broken ribs and the broccoli hair boy. So Buffa jumps in the water and activates the drill. Now this is going off an assumption, which is not really a good idea. But that assumption ends up paying off. He lands into the water, and with the power of the drill, is able to cause a relatively small vortex. Granted, he is also stuck in the water, but Suyu manages to get him out, while Mineta throws his balls everywhere. Why does he even exist? And the plan works, and the villains get captured. And they get to the coast. They soon head to the center, cause Suyu said, our teacher should be there. We gotta see if he's okay. And Buffa goes, well, I have to protect all of you if I want to win. Both of them are confused by this, but don't really pay attention to this. The moment they get there, they see Aizawa just beating up a bunch of villains, but then Shigaraki goes, Nomu! Get him! Why did I make it sound like that? And all of a sudden, the Nomu just rushes in. And Boof and Aizawa, for a split second, looks to see Suyu and Mineta and Buffa. And he goes, kids, get away from him! He's a dangerous... And then he gets punched by the Nomu. The two of them are shocked, as well as Buffa, because he doesn't know what that thing is. But... so he decides to treat it as if it's a Yanamo, because that's what his brain's thinking right now. He then tells both of them, you two get to safety. I'll take care of this. And so he rushes in with drill equipped. And so he tries to charge into the Nomu, and then uses drill on it, but it doesn't really do anything. It's quick as sock absorption. You can't hurt it. And then he quickly looks at him and says, are you dumb? Shigaraki's like, what? Nomu, change of plans. Kill the purple boy. It's just like... And Nomu proceeds to just change its target from Aizawa to attacking Buffa. Now, he takes some serious damage, but it's not like he hasn't taken stuff like this before, but it has hurt. And he is incredibly hurt, but then all of a sudden, he hears a bit of commotion from the stairs, and then the portal villain, Kurogiri, shows up next to him saying, apologies, master. It seems like a student has escaped. And Shigaraki goes, oh, damn it. They're just a bunch of cheaters. But that isn't really important, because all of them notice a light, something flash, and a small box falls in front of Buffa. And he's like, so my main goal was to get at least one student out. He then proceeds to open it, and even with the mask on, everyone could tell he had a big grin. He takes out the zombie buckle. Oh good, looks like I don't have to save up for this. Both Shigaraki, Kurogiri, and Aizawa are confused about this. Like, none of them know he's quirkless. It's just assumed that you must have a quirk to do stuff. He then takes the drill out and inserts his zombie buckle. And goes, Henshin!
Crush out! Zombie! Ready! Fight!
And then his armor changes. It's Aizawa and to zombie. And he gets his chainsaw. He then looks at it and goes, it feels good to have this. And in this moment, Aizawa was thinking, what on his quirk must be some type of equipment thing. Maybe that belt is the reason, but right now I can't really confirm. And he's bleeding out. And both Tsuyu and Mineta actually show up to drag him out of there, despite his orders. And so Buffa charges at the Nomu, who was also who didn't really have a chance to attack, and then proceeded to use his chainsaw. Proceeded to slash with his chainsaw, which did big damage. Shigaraki goes, no, but it can absorb shock absorption. And he goes, yeah, idiot, it doesn't nullify it. And he goes, you cheater! You cheater! I need a hand job. Oh my god. He then is able to hold off against the Nomo pretty well. And then, but it does seem to get the better of him. But then, someone bursts through the wall. All Might. And he ain't smiling. He takes a quick look around the situation and sees Buffa engaging with the Nomu. And Buffa goes. He then activates Poison Charge, which causes his chainsaw to rev up, I believe. No, not sure. I never really paid attention to that. And then he sticks it in the Nomu's neck. And he starts trying to cut through it. But Shigaraki's bragging, it has regeneration as well. You can't beat it. But the moment he said those words, another box appeared. And while Buffa is holding off, he realizes it's a boost buckle. And he goes, and he sees the secret mission complete. Hold off the Nomu till All Might appeared. And so, quickly, with one free hand, he grabs the boost buckle, inserts it, and activates it, giving him an immense speed and power boost. And with the chainsaw lodged into Nomu's neck because of its regeneration, he proceeds to drag it. He proceeds to push it into the ground, and then drags it and then dashes around the center with the help of boost, and doing a lot of damage to the Nomu, but its neck still isn't broken. All Might then appears, shouting, I am here! Punching the Nomu midway while Buffa was trying to defeat it. The Nomu goes flying across the plaza. And Buffa's like, what the hell? I nearly killed it! Elma goes, that is not the way of a hero, young man. I don't know who you are, but leave this to me. And Buffa goes, no, I'm not. He then proceeds to turn his buckle around, activating revolving his buckles. And this shocks everyone witnessing it, because they see his head go from they see his whole body flip, and his head go from where his legs should be to where they are now. You know, if you've seen the show, you wouldn't know. He then activates Zombie's ability, which I believe is Binding. Let me quickly check. Okay, so I noticed it also had the ability of poisoning while I was looking over the wiki. But it does sort of release a poison that paralyzes you, so you can perform a rider kick. So he activates that, causing Graves to appear, and then runs to Nomu, launching a flurry of punches. He then the Nomu tries to attack him again, but he uses Revolve to dodge that attack, and then hit it with the chainsaw. Hit it with a poison charge. He then proceeds to activate Zombie Victory, which gives him a... Hold on, gotta read it again. Yeah, apparently he performs a Rider Punch, and it does heavy damage to the Nomu. All Might, meanwhile, is observing this, and notices the Nomu still isn't down. So he decides to tag in, whilst saying, "Deal with the blue-haired villain, I'll handle this!" And for once, Buffa can agree. So he proceeds to use Boost to try and charge the blue-haired villain, but he tries to reach his hand out. Buffa's thinking, why do that? I have a chainsaw. And proceeds to use his chainsaw to deflect it. Deflect his wrist. And it causes his muscles to relax and have the effects of zombies' poison. So goes, "Ah! My hands! You bastard! You cheater! I'll kill all of you!" But before he can finish his sentences, or lack thereof, All Might launches the Nomu into the air, being very grateful for the fact he didn't have to go all out. But he is at his limits. But all of a sudden, the rest of the faculty staff arrive. And they do all their thing. And Kirishima tries to go up to All Might to see if he's okay, but Cementos blocks him. He goes, "You don't have to worry about your oh shoot." And Buffa, he saw All Might power down. And they're worried. And then that's when Cementos realizes, that's the purple buffalo. Oh shoot, what's he doing here? And he looks at his device and it shows mission complete. And he gets a bunch of points. And he says this to them. "I was here because it was a quest given to me. But know this, heroes. Now that I have this, I'm more confident to take you all out." All Might goes, "Why are you doing this?" He goes, "Simple. To create a world without heroes or villains. You all think you're great. You all think you're above justice. But let me tell you something. Let's see if you can keep that smile of yours when you see me again. And also, the purple buffalo, is that really? My name is Kamen Rider Buffa, and I will create a world where I have the power to crush anyone who stands in my way." And before any of the heroes could react, he teleports. Like, they think, he must have a teleportation quirk. And so, the USJ is cleared up. Now, Bakugo also has seen this. Like, he sort of heard some things. But he didn't really get a good idea. But he goes, "Huh, Vigilante. Thinks he could crush me. Good luck with that." Yeah. And so the faculty has a meeting where Tsubasa... No, wait, no. No, Tsubasa's from last Defense Academy. Lie detector, man! And everyone else is holding the meeting regarding this villain attack. "It has come to my attention that the villains somehow have gotten the schedule. And it seems like they had the goal of eliminating All Might." Aizawa, who's also in the cast, goes, "Yeah. Who knows what could have happened if the purple buffalo didn't show up." That brings me to my next question. regarding this Kamen Rider Buffa. So, that's his name. Yes, from what I heard from both Cementos and All Might, it appears he wants to destroy both hero and villain society by being the only one with the power to do so, if I may presume. Although we do not know his quirk or his identity, we do know it has something related to his armor. What about the teleportation? It could be another quirk, but for all we know, it's most likely his quirk is related to the armor. But then Aizawa decides to chip in. No, has nothing to do with the armor. Oh? And why is that, Mr. Aizawa? Because I tried to use my quirk to erase it. But nothing happened. And even then, he didn't always have that extra armor on. In fact, after I heard that portal villain say Ida got away, all of a sudden, a box appeared in front of this Buffa, and in it was that device. So I don't think that's his quirk is related to that at all. Ah! I wish you had brought that up sooner. Very well. It seems like his quirk is quite the mystery. And then Vlad King chips in. Don't you think his quirk is some sort of enhanced strength or whatnot? I do not believe so. Whatever that armor he wears, it is quite durable and quite powerful. Besides, it seems like he gains more powers from those things he attaches to his belt. From what I can gather, from all the accounts we have of him, it seems like the following do these specific things. The brown drill one, which is quite smaller compared to the other ones, acts like a drill and nothing else. Although we do not know what happens when it's flipped, as I have heard. The purple one seems to be undead related with a poison that can paralyze, it seems, while also providing him a chainsaw which can do a lot of damage. However, the even more stranger is when he flips his belt, his whole body seems to swap, and the buckle that was attached to his torso now goes to his legs, giving him a completely unique ability, which allows him to unleash a poison which allowed him to do a lot more damage. Now the red one is the most interesting, because after he was done using it, it ejected and launched itself into Mr. Bakugo's face. However, from what we can gather, it seems to be an enhancement, while also giving an incredible speed boost. However, we do not know much about these, nor do we know if he has any more. From what we can tell, it's most likely that he has some sort of thing going on. Although it's too early to confirm, it seems like he must do specific things if he wants to achieve more of these. So, what do you think we should do about him? While he is a threat, we do not have much to go by. Say we moved the UA sports vessel too much sooner than we planned with amped up security. Snipe then proceeds to ask, what happens if he targets it? I do not think he wishes to target something like that. It seems like he's more concerned about going after pro heroes than students. Although this could be because he did not have the tools to do so by his standards. However, I do believe he doesn't wish to harm most of our students. Most of them? Yes, I believe he would make exceptions for those he deems, let's say, rough around the edges. For example, Mr. Katsuki Bakugo, who is quite the troublemaker. the meeting soon concludes with the premise that they're all gonna hold a sports festival much earlier than planned. Meanwhile, in his apartment after the USJ attack, Michi is looking at the zombie buckle, and he smirks to himself, thinking, well, let's head out. And that's where I'm gonna conclude this. I just wanted to leave you guys off with the news that I will actually be writing a fanfic of these, although it will be much more better handled. And I also want to let you all know that by liking and subscribing, then it really helps the channel and me a lot. I'm trying to get to 500 and to reach the specific goal so I can unlock memberships. What will the memberships be? I don't know. Probably just drawings of mine that you can spam in the comments to make fun of me. I'm trying my best not to be so stuck up. Anyways, another thing to let you all know is that this audio recording was probably the hardest for me to do because I'm not really good at stuff like this, so I do apologize for the long wait. Either way, I hope you all enjoyed this one, and I'll try my best to try and get the other one done, and I'll let you all know when I'm done writing that fanfics. Granted, it will just cover for what I did in the first episode, minus quite a few parts, but I do hope to improve. Anyways, at 56 minutes and 50 seconds, I am done.